Hey everybody, what we have here is a 71, 72, 1600 AE motor, so it's the dual port, dual oil relief, and this is going to replace a 40 horse motor that came out of a sandrail. So rebuilding the sandrail, upgrading the motor, and yes, this motor is going back in the Type 1 40 horse transaxle. So I am aware that there's some modifications that need to happen with the transaxle, but that when that time comes, hopefully we'll address that. So I'm aware that needs to be done. However, last year this motor, I found out it's been sitting for a couple decades, maybe 20, 25 years without running. It's been indoors. It's been most of the time in a climate controlled environment, but always indoors. So it never sat in the rain, so didn't have any issues, didn't have any question if there was water in this thing or pitted jugs, as you would get with a motor that has been outside in the environment. Last year, I was able to fire this motor up on brake cleaner. The fuel pump wasn't working, and so we just weren't able to get fuel up to the carburetor, the old carburetor. So we just went ahead and just shot some brake cleaner in there, and it fired up, it ran. So I was happy with that. It's building oil pressure. So I knew that was a good step or a good first goal to have this running. Fast forward to just a few months ago, started the process of refurbishing this. This is not a complete rebuild. This is not a video about rebuilding this. This is a couple things that I learned by putting the new components that I have. A couple of the main new things I did is the alternator system, which is a single wire alternator. Converted it to a full flow oil system, which has given us the external oil filter. For those of you wondering what filter this is, this setup that you get, this is a very popular adapter, and it takes the PHA alpha, PHAA filter. That is the FRAM number. If you can't find that, STP has it. It's nearly the same number. It is the S8A filter. So fits on here beautifully. Of course, with this adapter to bolt up to the exhaust bolts. We'll talk about this later, what I'm going to do here. So putting this back together, I ran it a couple weeks ago to try to get it timed, get the brand new carburetor tuned in and whatnot. It runs really well. In fact, it runs better than what I thought it was going to. The crankcase is quiet. I upgraded the push rods to the chromoly, so there's zero lash, and so there's no tapping noises. It really runs nice. However, running it in about higher RPMs, 2,000-3,000, I was getting a leak down underneath the crank pulley, and from what I could tell, it actually not underneath the pulley, but underneath the oil pump where it butts up against the case. In assembling this, and you'll see who makes this unit, it is the Maxi 30 with an in and out cover on it, so there's no modifications to the block. When I installed the pump, I believe what I did was, with the gasket, I did not put any sealer on the gasket, and the reason why is because what's going to happen? There's no oil pressure there, whatever. Well, guess what? When your output goes up into the case, which this pump does, that hole does not get blocked off with this system. You will create pressure in that hole that the pump goes in. So it's a very, 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 very small oil, not ring or whatever, but area the oil's going to travel around. That's where most likely the crank gear, or excuse me, the cam gear. Yes, the cam gear gets its oil and everything. So by not putting any sealant, it was coming out this side as well. In the 20 minutes that I was running it, and at higher RPM, it was leaking faster because of the higher oil pressure. The pressure was running, for those that may want to chime in on this, I was getting about, when it was cold, I was getting about 34, 35 pounds of pressure. After it warmed up, it dropped down to maybe 31, 32. Tell me if that's too high or if that's too much. I don't believe we have an issue where it's coming out of the crank pulley, because this is not a sand seal unit. This is the standard stock crank pulley, just with the upgraded serpentine belt system. So it was leaking there. I think this is going to be an easy fix. I have already ordered gaskets to replace that and hopefully fix it. And I've got a minor leak at the drain plug. Not a big deal. I have a new drain plug. And I believe there's also supposed to be a crush gasket with that. I will double check before I put it on. There is a copper crush gasket that came in the gasket kit, and I believe that's what it's for. I'm not sure if this old one has it. If it has it, problem solved. And then I have a small leak, oil leak, at the number one exhaust port push rod tube at the case. That's not a major leak, but it's just one I'd like to address. So I've got to address this oil pump right here. It's got to come off so I can see what's going on. Maybe I nicked the case and created a void for oil to get through. And then I've got I'm going to go as far as pulling this head again to see what's going on with that push rod tube. Now I will tell you that the push rod tubes were installed once and then removed and reinstalled. I did not stretch them again. I remeasured them, and they were still looking like it was the recommended length pre-install. I think something just got in the way on the case, and hopefully that is the case, and it'll be a quick fix. Other than that, as it was sitting here over the past couple weeks, there was no more oil leaking other than a couple drops from any residual oil that was left, and I think maybe a couple drops from the drain plug. All the seals on the adapter plate for the oil look great. I don't think there's anything coming from there. So it's very minor when it comes to that. So let's get into it. Give me a few minutes. I will start removing some parts and put you on a time lapse so I don't bore you through the whole thing. And when I get down to the nitty gritty of taking the important stuff off, I will show that. There is some sort of washer on here. I'm going to look in the gasket kit that I bought to see if there is a washer like this. If not, it might be that copper one that I was talking about. Let's see what I can do to find that out and get back with you, and we'll continue on. All right, after searching, I did find the kit. So if you can see it, 6 small copper washers. We got a crush copper washer for the drain plug, and I finally realized what it was for, and it was for the plate, the oil plate down below. And I neglected to put the small washers. I put acorn nuts on. I think I'm going to remove those and just put these washers on, so they're on there, and that's what they're there for. So I will install this new washer onto the new drain plug, get it plugged back up, and we'll continue on. All right, if you look down here, I don't know if you can see it. When I remove it, I will show it up close. Because of this special oil pump cover plate, and its design, and it's a 30 millimeter pump, this was pushing up against it. I didn't realize it when I first put it back together, so when I went to crank it, you see there's a wear pattern here. So I had to take it off and put a relief in it. But the unit, or this sheet metal, is not going back on. The cylinder tins, these ones in particular, are not going back on either. They're getting replaced by off-road tins. So off-road tins offered by, I think it was CB, who saw that. And so really the only difference is this is cleaned up out here, where they're numbered. That is gone. Don't worry, they are still numbered, just in a different area. They don't have this little flange for this to connect to. This really isn't needed. That's why it's for off-road. This is not going back on a street car or anything. I need to find me a better screwdriver. Yeah, so that's what's going to happen. So this will not go back on. All right, you can see the pump cover here. CB Performance makes this. I think it's exclusive to them. They designed it. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that's the case. So it is an in and out cover. It is slightly modified. However, nothing changes. Your oil will come in from the pan, get into the gears, come out. When it comes back in from the filter, it goes back through the hole, and then it joins up with the crankcase. I hope what we're going to find is what I was thinking. So, just forgetting to put some sealant. I know I put some sealant on the cover to the pump gasket, but I'm not 100% on the oil pump to the case gasket. So, and that was sealed up pretty well. One other item that I came across while I was doing this and ordering parts is I pulled off the old oil pump, and I'll show it to you here. I pulled it off, and because you have to know whether or not, if you're getting a pump for here it is, a dish cam or a flat cam. And I had no idea what a dish cam or a flat cam was, so I had to do some research. And by the way, there's some great articles out here, or out there to answer all these questions. So after I knew what to look for, I pulled the old oil pump. So your oil pump from base to the end of the tab right there, it's either going to be 2 inches or 2 1/4 inches. The 2 inches is for the flat cam. The 2 1/4 inches is for the dish cam. So I pulled this off, I measured it, and I'll show you right now what I have. So I'm not BSing you. This is basically a 2-inch oil pump. So you can see we have 2 inches there, and I looked inside the case, and what do you know? I've got a dish can. And I thought, I heard somebody say, or say, you know, just it doesn't fit well. I thought I heard somebody say it just won't work. Well, it was working because I ran it last year and it had oil pressure, so obviously it's engaged. However, if you can see it right here, it was only engaged maybe by about 1/8 of an inch is where it was writing. After all that knowledge that I found and what to order, I stuck with the knowledge and not the old part. I wasn't going to buy a part to match the old one because sometimes things like this happen, and so you buy your parts from the information you receive. So I ordered the dished cam oil pump 30 millimeter Maxi unit, and it went in beautifully. So trust your knowledge and not the old part is what I learned from this, especially when it comes to this. So I'm going to do my best to remove this pump without breaking it. These 30 millimeter pumps, they actually have a really thick tab. That's probably about 3/8 of an inch thick versus the 1/8 of an inch that was on the old. I think that was probably a 24 millimeter pump, maybe even less than that. So let me get to it. I will get back with you, and once that is done, we'll see what we find out. All right, back with you, and I think what I found, I confirmed my suspicion for one, and that was pretty much confirmed because it was very easy to get the gasket off the case as well as off the pump. This is the new pump. It wasn't too difficult to get it off. Once I got it started, I was actually able to pull it out just as I thought. It's all cleaned up now. How this system works, if you can see it. So this is how it orients, how it goes on the motor. So if we pull the cover off, oil comes in here from the right side, comes around the gears, gets forced out this direction, out towards the plate. Now I'm going to turn this upside down, so the in is actually means it's coming into the motor. So coming out from the case, I'm going to turn it upside down, so now out is on the top. So it actually goes through the cover here, out this port, through the filter system, and then back. When it comes back in, it comes back in to the pump on the front, which should go that direction, and there's your hole it goes into, which that is your exit for the pump. So that is the pressure side. This is the suction side. So I hope that explains everything, how this system works. And this isn't a video about how the system works. I just didn't find a great video on how it works, so I hope that helps. But back to our issue of the oil leak. So not only the gasket was prepared inadequately, I also found that, and I remembered when I removed the old one, I'll get dinged for this, I'm sure, and I dinged myself literally on the case. So on the case right here, on this side, there's a little ding on the left and right side. That was when I was removing the old pump, and it coincides with these holes, right? So I got it out far enough, I was able to tap a screwdriver in there. Well, I dinged my case because of that. And if you can think of this, just thousandth of an inch clearance between the case and this pump is just enough for oil to travel around it. Well, it found the weak spot, it found my ding. I hope that's what it is. So my solution to this is not only new gaskets, but on the case side, I'm going to run a thin bead of black RTV, and then with the rest, I will be doing or using the gasket cinch, which I've been using on the rest of this, and it's worked out pretty well. I'll also be putting some RTV on the threads for the bolts that will put the cover back on. I didn't see any leaking from there, but as we all know, most holes that are drilled in this motor go to nowhere. So where these holes are drilled all the way through to an oil side, I just want to eliminate any possibility of any oil seeping out. So that will probably just prevent a very small issue of oil seepage. So I'm going to get to it, and hopefully this will go back together just fine. And to get things lined up, you can see this is quite a different setup. It had the Allen head bolts that are on this, so there's really no way to align the pump onto these holes very well without pinching a gasket or anything, unless you install studs. So I had some leftover 8mm 125 studs that I made for something else, and they're going to work out perfectly for this. So I can align it. I think what I'll do is I'll remove them really quick. I'll put the black RTV on the case, put the gasket on the case, and then I'll put these studs in. It's going to make life a lot easier, because to try to roll this gasket over these metal studs will probably rip it up and tear it and have more issues. If anything does happen with these gaskets on the install, I'm all right. I ordered 5 of each to cover you know what. So let's get to it, and cross your fingers. All right, we're done gluing it up, I believe. I don't believe I've missed a surface area. As I was doing that, I had to think to myself, don't forget to put in your gears. It'd be very easy to do that, and that's why we get extra gaskets in case we just do something dumb. Yeah, make sure it's all the way flush. Everything looks good. These gears have dots on both of them. It's not a timing dot. What I found, or what I was told was, so they marry correctly. In fact, you might not be able to see the dot right there. But to get good marry on them, whatnot, the way they're ground, just have both dots facing out. Alright, got that. I'm going to put a little bit more gasket cinch on this exterior. That's still too much. It just doesn't seem like it's enough to get a good seal. So I don't want to put too much. Don't get any on your gears. All right, that was there. Gears are in. We're all sealed up. I'm not going to put any on this side. No need there, because it's hard to know where to put it. So put that in. As I mentioned, I'm going to not thread lock them, but RTV the threads to hopefully get a better seal. I don't want that chunk in there.
Oh, now call it.
That is feeling like the RTV is making it nice and smooth to go in there. Remove these studs. That one's a little short. Should have put that one on the other one. This got a little dark end on it. Might just be the oil. So there's my suspicion. I'm not sure which one that came out of, but the threads were in oil. So I'm just going to snug these up and try to get this stud out. Shouldn't be difficult. It's only finger tight. Go. Now watch, I'll drop it down in the oil. You can't see it, but I drain the oil into the oil pan down below, and it's keeping my floor clean, but you know what's going to happen. You're going to drop something down in there and you have to clean it up. I'm not sure what kind of torque these studs need. I like to use the just about right torque. I don't like over tightening things, because I think some people tend to do that. Alright, they're all snugged up. Alright, let's do the just about right stuff. I like that. I think it's what I did before. Who knows, maybe that's what the problem was. But now, if I was to guess, that was probably about 15 pounds or so. Now the other issue, the leak on the other side. I'm going to go off camera. I'm going to just kind of disassemble this as much as I need to. Hopefully I don't have to take too much down or too much off of it to get to pull the head off. This intake manifold can be an issue because of the way the elbows join up with it. It's a 3-piece unit, as you know. So hopefully I don't even have to pull the doghouse off. So if I pull that off, that won't be too much. I just don't want to. All right, the head's ready to come off. I don't know what we're going to find. I didn't want to remove the whole head, but I thought, what if something falls behind and I can't get a good seal on the head once again? I'll just be tearing this all over, or pulling it all off again to find the problem that I potentially could avoid. So again, it's this tube on the case where it's leaking. It wasn't leaking as bad as this other leak, but it's just enough I want to address it. So we'll see what we can find here. Tubes are probably going to fall off, and hopefully I can figure out which one is it. In fact, there it is. In fact, I got a hold of it. There, it came off. Yeah, it's wet on the bottom. I can't see anything to cause the leak, but I'm going to check the length. The length, these push rod tubes should be brand new before compression. It is approximately 7 9/16, I believe is what Tom Wilson says in his book. And I am actually 7 7/16, so I'm 1/8 of an inch short of that. Now, I don't believe that you couldn't restretch them to make it work versus buying a whole new set for just a simple problem. And since I'd be doing that, may as well do it for all of them. We'll check the rest to see what they came out to be. Yeah, 7/16. 7/16, maybe even less on that, and 7/16. Yeah, so they're all about 1/8 of an inch short. The as I mentioned earlier in the beginning of the video, these were installed and then removed and then reinstalled. So the reason why that was is this head that has the issue with the 10 millimeter studs, exhaust studs, that was not going to work very well for the full flow full flow oil system that I was putting on, because that mounting plate, that adapter plate, that little hook thing, the holes were only drilled for 8 millimeter, and I couldn't drill them any larger because there wasn't much more material left on that flange. So because I had the one head that was in good shape and no issues with those studs, I swapped the heads. Now thankfully that side I don't have any issues, and I know what's going on with this side. The tube length, which it seems like it's pretty easy to re-stretch these. So where they bolt up sometimes at an angle or something, I think that's where the issue came from. There's almost 9/16 right there. So I'm going to take the time and just kind of re-stretch them. I think it's going to work, and then I'm going to clean them up, reseal them with RTV on this side, and hopefully that'll solve the problem. So I'm not going to bore you with all that. I'm going to just finish this up, get back with you when I'm all done, and give you my final thoughts. All right, everything's put back on, valve train's intact, all bolted down. I need to reset the lash on it. One of them was a little loose, so I think after engine ran a few minutes, it just kind of settled into its groove. So I know that has to be done anyway. So I'm just going to leave it as it is right now. I don't have an extra intake gasket. And I'm also in limbo of, do I continue with this paint scheme? I kind of wanted to do a blackout. It's not quite a blackout. I like it. I've repainted the valve covers, the doghouse. Doghouse is brand new. The alternator mount, even the alternator itself, I had repainted it, even though it came black from Empy. I just went ahead and repainted it because the job was, or that it came with, was more of a matte finish, and I went high gloss. But what I'm in limbo about is I've decided that the tube frame, the sandrail, this is going in, I'm going to powder coat. So with that being said, I am leaning more towards of redoing these tins color match to the frame. So I'm pretty much going to leave it as it is. It's not going to be running again for another few months till I get that done, because I don't want to put it together, run it, fine tune it, and then take it back apart again only to put it back together. So I'm anxious to get this running to purr like a kitten. But I need to have patience with it. I know that'll happen. That'll come in time. So I'm just going to bolt the pulley back on, and that's about as much as I can do, and maybe something else. But pretty much as it sits here is the way it's going to sit for the next few months until who knows when. But I will definitely update you on that. There's a what I need to do on the next videos, once I get it all put back together, maybe I'll do a video of the new paint scheme, tearing it down, getting everything prepped. But that's not going to be a very, very long video. But I will do a video on getting it timed, as well as the carburetor tuned. So once I've done all that, it should be running really well. I have a link that I will post at that time on the procedure to get everything timed and the carburetor in tune and everything done to that point. But for now, what you see is what you get. This is the 1 and 2 side of the off-road tin that I was telling you about. See, this whole flange, it's broken up. It only has enough to screw it down, and then you also do not have the flange here. So it looks like what they have done is they have taken done a very good job, I think. This is my guess, but they've just taken some snips and have cut off this flange and also this part. So, and then maybe re-stamped it up here so you know what cylinder it is. So they are stamped right here, what cylinder number it is, those of you that still need to know. But anyway, that is the off-road tin. I think I bought these at CB Performance, saw that, and the other ones, as I mentioned, they're older, little dinged up, and also cracked where near the mounts and whatnot. So eventually they could start rattling again. I don't know if these are going to rattle, but we'll find out. So in the end, you might see a color match for all these tins for the frame, and that's about it. Thanks for joining me today. I hope everything was insightful, and for a little bit of a little teaser, I will post the video of the engine running when it was a couple weeks ago. So it's not the fine tune, it's not the end product, but it's running. And to me it sounds great. So would love to hear what everybody else thinks, and we'll see you again.